Hi, welcome. Welcome to webinar number 3. It's very exciting. If this is your first time joining us on the webinar series, my name is Holly Rankin-Smith and I work for a charity called the GroundSwell project. At GroundSwell, our vision is for a society where when someone is dying, caring or grieving, we all know what to do. And a big part of that at the moment is developing more compassionate communities. The compassionate communities movement is growing around the world and it's being approached in many different ways in lots of different places. But generally it's about recognising that when it comes to death and dying, the health system can't do it alone. It's a vital part, but we all need to chip in. So what are the ways in which community members can be empowered to have a sense of care and responsibility towards one another at end of life? Part of what we're doing to explore this movement here in Australia is this webinar series. So we're talking to lots of different people who are either actively part of the compassionate communities movement in some way or who are aligned in kind of the general mission in some way as well. So today joining us is Dr. Susan Palmer, who is the CEO and founder of an app called Gather My Crew. Now, before we start and get into that, which I'm very excited about, just some general housekeeping for how it might run today, or webinar keeping, whatever, I don't know. Susan's going to share with us in a moment, and then we're going to have some allocated time for Q&A. So you should see a little Q&A button when you hover your mouse down at the bottom of the screen. I guess as you're listening, if a question comes up, then just write it in that section. General chit chat between each other can happen in the chat box, and you can select there if you want to chat to someone specifically or to everyone. So that's just a place for general commentary and informal chat. But if you have something that comes up while Susan's speaking that you'd like to ask, then make sure it goes in the Q&A section, and then I can manage the kind of answering of that in the right time. And after the Q&A, Susan's going to walk us through exactly how we could use her app in terms of supporting one another. And we'll be joined by GroundSwell's team support all-rounder legend, Tara, and she's going to be the guinea pig for that part of today. Okay, great. Today we're talking about asking for and offering help. One thing that I've noticed in my role in supporting different groups around the country in initiating compassionate communities is that in almost every community forum that we have, the issue is raised where people don't like asking for help. And there can be countless resources in the community and people available to support, but generally people will hesitate to put up their hand and say, I need some help. So we're going to unpack that a little today. So I'd love to introduce Dr. Susan Palmer, who will share her wisdom on this. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit or jump straight into it, whatever you like?
Thank you, Holly, for that introduction. My background, I'll give you a little bit of a general background as my first, and then it probably then leads nicely into what Gather My Crew is and why it's been created. So I'm a psychologist by background and training, and I've spent the last 15 to 20 years or so working with people going through difficult times in their lives. And most predominantly with cancer patients and at Peter MacCallum down in Melbourne. And I would be working with the families there, and it would come up again and again and again where these families, and I was working with the families who had teenagers who had been diagnosed, and they were very unwell and they often did die. And I'd be talking with these families about how they were going to get through this process, whatever it might be, whatever treatment it was and whatever, the journey was going to end in. And it was always about the best way you can get through this is to gather people around you, gather friends and family and neighbours. And when people say to you, let me know what I can do to help, you give them specific tasks and you tell them exactly what you need. And even when perhaps you're not feeling exactly, that you need help now, start the process so that when you do need help, it gets easier. So these kind of discussions were commonplace. And yet the families would say, no, I don't have a community. I'm feeling really isolated. There's really no one there to help me. And then on the flip side would be talking to the friends and family of of these people who were saying, I desperately want to help. I don't know how to help. I've dropped off a meal. They keep telling me they're okay, but I keep saying, let me know how I can help. And they haven't said anything, so I don't know what else to do. So it was this situation that kept coming up again and again and again, when you've got one group of people over here who are saying, I don't know how to get the help. I know I need help, but I don't want to reach out. And one group of people saying, I know they need help. I don't know how to lean in. And so after hearing this again and again and again, and then actually trying to do it myself when a friend was unwell and realizing how hard it actually is to just physically coordinate this kind of care in terms of spreadsheets and contact details and knowing everything that needs to be done. This was where Gather My Crew came from. So it's this combination of experience of hearing for 15 years this problem again and again and again, and then also even myself, who knew this was an issue and knew kind of what help someone needed when they were going through this and was empowered enough to do something about it, became completely overwhelmed in the space of about 20 minutes, trying to coordinate 30 friends for a girlfriend who was having back surgery. So it's more than just the problems and the cultural issues people have about reaching out. I think that's definitely a huge part of this. But the other part is how complicated it is to coordinate people in an ongoing way when they've already got busy lives anyway. So how do you get the most out of people with busy lives, and how do you get the kind of help that you really need? And that is where Gather My Crew was born. And so we have been around now since July last year. There was a lot of no, that's not correct. July 2017, so 18 months now. There's been a lot of testing in that process. And we have now got over 8,000 users across Australia. We've got lots of support organisations who use us and trust us. But we're slowly getting the word out to the wider public. I thought a nice way to kind of explain more about our impact and what we can do is to share our video. It's only 3 minutes long, but it tells a user story and her experience of what it's been like, and then what it was like for the person supporting her to be able to do it through our technology.
Okay, cool.
So can I try? I'm going to try and do this now.
Try and share
by sharing my screen. And all right, well, but what that is talking about, so Jodie had been diagnosed with cancer and she knew she needed help to get through. And in one situation, she actually just needed someone to help her get to her treatment. She couldn't drive, she just had surgery, and she needed actually someone to drive her to treatment. And she asked 5 different people to try and get someone to get her where she needed to get to before she got a positive answer. And that was just a one-way trip to hospital on one Thursday. And so what she talks about is the benefit of Gather My Crew is that you can ask people once, they then become part of your crew, and you just put the things that you need up and they can select in and around the help that they're requiring. So I think given that we don't have the video, I was going to just talk, I might just go back to talking a little bit about some of the stories about why, you know, this is needed and why there is something, I guess, missing in the community and how we ask for and offer and accept help that means that a piece of technology can make a difference.
Great. Do you want to maybe go out of share screen so we can see your face bigger, and then we can come back to that when we go onto the site? Yeah.
Okay. So some of the things that I guess we hear a lot of when you're talking to someone going through this is not only just do they not know how to ask, there's also issues about not knowing what to ask for. And when everything's going on and your head's a bit scrambled and there's so much pressure going on, to know what is going to take a load off is actually hard to know. So one of the things we did in developing this was talk to people who've had a crisis or a traumatic experience themselves and get them to identify the things that they needed. And we've actually got a click and select option of 84 different tasks. And these cover things around the home, they cover transport, they cover pets and kids and hospital, and they cover social, and also just random miscellaneous things like, you know, can someone call Telstra, because last time I called, you know, I was on hold for 30 minutes and I don't have 30 minutes in my life to do that right now. So they have done all the hard work for us in identifying the help that's needed, so that when you are frazzled and you're not quite sure what you need, you can actually just be triggered by these little reminders as to what can help. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I think makes helping easier through this, but also identifying how you need help easier. Another thing that we hear a lot of that we've tried to address with Gather My Crew is people often are desperate to help in the early stages. There's often this flurry of support when people hear something awful's happened. And, you know, it is emotionally impactful when you hear something awful happening to someone else. And for human beings, that emotion actually needs to be activated and put somewhere. We're very bad at just sitting with uncomfortable emotions. And so that's often
do something as soon as we hear the
because it's that churn within you. You feel kind of like, oh, I've got to do something. And that is why we get 15 lasagnas. That is why when you hear that news and you're motivated to do something, unless you're guided into how you can best help, you will still do something. It is just unlikely to be what someone really needs to get them through. So what we say at Gather My Crew as well is that we're taking that, you know, that initial flurry, that initial emotion that they get, and by capturing them early, we're turning that into long, ongoing, sustained support. Because what we find is that once people are in the system and they've created a crew, these crews stick around for an average of 4 to 5 months. And there are some who have been in our system for 18 months, have been going right since the very start.
Wow.
And so if you can get that goodwill early on, you can really make a difference for your life and how you're coping. So there's some of the ways that Gather My Crew, by being technology, makes a difference to some of these issues. I guess the other issue is people have busy lives. And often when you're asking someone for help, if you've built up the courage to ask, you often ask by saying, can you help me with this on this day? And then the person has either got to say, no, I can't. You know, I've got something else on that day. Or they go, oh, gosh, I really should say yes, but that just means I'm going to have to rejig my whole life to make this happen right now. And so what Gather My Crew does is it doesn't give people this only one option to help. They can then get online and they can look through and see, at the time that I've got free, the task that I like doing, I can do this. And because we make it easy and we make it fit around their life, they often click and go, oh, and I'll do that for a whole month. You know, it's just not a big deal to swing by someone's house once a week and take the dog for a walk, or to throw a load of laundry on, you know, or to pick up some bread and milk and just drop it past. This stuff isn't hard. But what is hard is the initial asking and then the coordinating. And so that's part of what we do as well.
And so you mentioned before about different community groups or services that are using the app as well. Like, is it, that would be interesting to talk about in terms of, I can really picture how, you know, a partner or the child of someone who's unwell could really use an app like this, but how can it be used like in more of a community setting as well?
So I'm just going to do this for a second, share the screen again. I'll show you as we go down the website. These are the organisations at the moment that are using our technology. So they are partners in the sense that they have come on board with us. They agree with what they're doing. They understand our mission. They trust us. And I think having a clinician and myself leading the process, they understand that the right ethics and privacy has been put in place around this, and that has been one of the biggest hurdles, I think, just getting that trust. But those organisations now integrate Gather My Crew into what they the supports that they provide. So you'll often get it as handed out as an information pack or a welcome pack, or if you call up a helpline, you'll get them talking about that. What we've just done recently, up until last week, it was actually an individual needing help or their trusted friend or family member would gather support from their own network of friends, family, neighbours and community. What we've recently done just last week is expand that so that an organisation who is coordinating their own volunteers can set up an account and look after vulnerable people in their community that they know. We don't use volunteers, we provide the technology that allows communities to come together and facilitate the growth of these communities, but people have to know those who they're bringing into their network to provide that kind of support. So church groups often use us a lot in that they've got an organised group of volunteers that want to help someone else. If someone in their congregation gets sick, they set up an account, they've got this ready kind of made crew ready to go and help them in any way they can. And so other organisations can use it in a similar way. Schools are also using it like that as well.
Yeah, great. Cool. That sounds, awesome. So that's just in the last week that you've shifted a little bit to open. It's
been a process that we've had feedback that people have wanted, and case managers. So case managers, schools, churches, local council, anyone who's kind of wanting to coordinate groups of people to go and help vulnerable members of our community have told us that they've wanted this. As a charity, it takes a while to get the funds up to make the changes, and these changes have been in the works since October last year, and they've only just now been deployed. So it's something that we knew was coming. It's something we've had a lot of requests for. And we're catching up with what people need as we're kind of getting out there and getting more funding to make these changes. So it's very new. So I'd be very interested to see what people think and how they then utilise it within their own groups, because we put no restrictions on how people can use Gather My Crew. If you think that our technology will help, we completely encourage everybody to use it, no matter what it's being used for. Unless it's obviously illegal, we don't encourage that. And I just thought one of the other things is we've mentioned it as being an app. It's not a native app. You can't find us in the App Store. What you need to do is go online and click through, and we can go through that process now if you'd like to. If we can, do you want any questions before we move on and do that?
We might just try the video one more time, I reckon. So that should share the sound of the video.
Brilliant. Okay. Let's try again.
Or if your husband's just had a stroke. You are so...
Yeah, that's working.
20 years of experience as a psychologist does not make me an expert in what it's like to live through a crisis. If you've just been diagnosed with cancer or if your husband's just had a stroke, you are so unlikely to be thinking clearly. And it's really important that all that energy you have is focused where it needs to go. So that's how Gather My Crew is created. Gather My Crew is, in its simplest form, an online help roster. People get online, create an account, and then they click and select from that task list the things that they need. We put that into an interactive calendar. They invite their friends and family to come and have a look at that calendar, and then their friends and family to start clicking and selecting all the things that they can help with. What we are trying to do is bridge that gap between the community who want to help and the person in need of help. And so the solution is our online roster, but it's also about changing the way people in Australia ask for help and accept help, and also how we offer help. We got to the point where we had a piece of technology that we thought could make a real difference, but what we didn't have was any cash. And it was at that point that we went to the Lord Mayor's Charitable Foundation.
We can't fund things that just maintain the status quo. We fund things where there's going to be progress, and we fund people and organisations that present us with new and innovative ways of taking on the challenges of the day. Gather My Crew is a great example of an innovation where this online tool is able to change people's lives at very critical moments.
Back in March, I started a journey towards finding out I had breast cancer. Went through surgery. I had a bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction. My friend Fiona sent me the link to Gather My Crew, and I'm like, this is what I've been looking for. Some of the things that I've had up there is picking up my son from sports practice and bringing him home, grocery shopping. Asking through something like Gather My Crew means that I've literally only really asked people once for help, and that's when I've said, would you like to be part of my crew? And everything after that is then up to them.
When someone that you know, someone that you love gets sick, you naturally want to do anything that you can, but at the same time you don't want to impose. You want to be useful but not get into their space. I can make supporting Jodie fit into my life, and I don't have to feel bad if something pops up that I can't support her with, because there'll be someone else out there that can do it.
The Foundation were the first philanthropic funders of Gather My Crew, providing them with the core operational support they needed to be able to launch the online tool and to promote and expand the use of this online tool.
They are, I think, the only organisation that I've come across that will really take a punt on an idea and try to innovate and believe in people that they can get something off the ground that can be life-changing.
It's a bit, it is a little bit focused on the Lord Mayor's Charitable Foundation. That's because they paid to get the video made. But hopefully that gave people a little bit of an insight into what it's like from the person in need's perspective, but then also how it benefits the people that are surrounding them. And I think everyone knows that if you can get communities engaged, the quality of life benefits are for everybody. It's not just for the person that's needing the support. So that's part of what we're trying to do here, make it easier for the person offering help and make it easier for the person needing help. That's
great. Well, maybe we'll just jump into some questions. So if anyone's got any questions, it'd be great to hear from you. So Jackie has said, you might answer this before we get to do Q&A, but can you clarify, can you be a gatherer on behalf of someone if that someone doesn't feel comfortable to ask for help, but is happy for you to ask on their behalf?
Yes. What we've found is we've probably got 70% of our crews are run by a friend or family member. 30% are probably run by the person in need themselves. And I think it's not just about being uncomfortable, it's also about sometimes they're just too unwell, or they're just not in the mental space to be able to do this and organise this. So we definitely, that's completely enabled within our technology. But the other thing is that it can also be handed back. So we have crews that are often set up at a time of heightened crisis, but as it goes into kind of stable mode, it can then also be handed back to the person who then wants to empower themselves to coordinate it themselves. Or you can also have dual admins, so that, you know, you can kind of, it might be a situation where there's siblings trying to look after parents. You can share those admin tasks around, so it's not just all on the head of one of the, you know, the oldest daughter or whatever you often see. And so, yeah, there's lots of options in the technology to make sure that it's not just the person in need having to ask for help.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What about people that don't have kind of an activated social network like that already? So I guess a lot of elderly whose networks kind of diminish over time, or people that are in quite isolated rural areas.
Yeah, so I guess I have two answers to this, and that's part of why we changed our technology. The first answer is we encourage people to think really broadly about who their community is, and sometimes you have to get uncomfortable. And this is again why maybe it's better that it's not the person in need that sets this up, but sometimes it's actually a matter of getting uncomfortable and finding your community, because the neighbours in your street are probably very able to take the bins out or to drop off some bread and milk, and would very happily do that if you ask them, but you might not consider them to be part of your community. We have an example someone was telling me about of a dog walking group that was pulled together just from the people who were walking their dog in the dog park. And I think that's an amazing example of a community being pulled together. or a school that maybe you didn't really feel that connected to, but they actually are their own network. When it comes to older people and I guess those that are feeling quite isolated, this is one of the reasons we've made the changes to our technology. Our hope is that we will create hubs within communities that have engaged volunteers that they're running who want to provide this kind of support. So in an ideal world, it would be great if you could come to the website and put in your postcode, and then crews that are open would be popped up, and they might be run by churches, or they might be run by local council, or they might be run by other, interested and organised groups. And we don't have that yet, but that's certainly the direction that we're trying to head in. But there are organisations within communities that, if they had this technology, could provide that kind of support through their own volunteers.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's really exciting. We've had another question from Dr. Annetta Mallon. Thanks for being here. I like the way Gather My Crew will be an alternative to social media platforms for end-of-life compassionate communities. So instead of closed Facebook groups, etc. Is there a time limit for crews?
No. You know what? Interestingly, I did set it up because I was coming from a different space, and I was not. When we started this, we didn't want to be a band-aid and doing things so that people would rely on our technology. We thought it would be better that organically this should happen, and once they've had 2 months of running it through the technology, it would just organically continue. And that was a misunderstanding at the start. And we've learnt from our users and from user feedback that even if the community is building, and even if it is growing around you and you're feeling supported, the logistics don't change after 2 months. The people's lives don't get less busy, the tasks can change, and it still remains complicated just to coordinate this stuff. And so it's open. Like I said, we've had someone using this for 18 months. It'll just stay open for as long as they need it. And I think that is part of what we pride ourselves on, is constantly listening to user feedback, learning from the people who are using it, and making sure that we are keeping up with that as fast as we can, given funding restrictions. But, I've got a research PhD, and everything I do is very much evidence-based, based in research, best practice, and making sure that the people who are using this are leading the direction of where this needs to go, so it can be the most useful tool possible.
Yeah, that's great. That's all the questions. So now, Tara, I'm going to bring you in. Everyone, welcome Tara. She's going to be joining us now. Tara, you're muted, so you'll need to unmute yourself.
I just saw that. Hello.
So I think we're going to...
Oh, that's me, sorry. Trying to get onto the right screen. So this is the part where we can actually take you through how it all works. I mean, the ideal situation that I would like to see out of this would be everyone who's listening to feel comfortable and confident that they would then know what to do to set up an account. I think it's all well and good to talk about it, but then technology can be a bit tricky sometimes and a bit overwhelming. So if we can just make sure that we can break down some of those barriers, that'd be great. So Tara's going to act as my guinea pig. You don't actually have to do much, Tara. I just need your website, your email address, and then just click on OK.
Cool.
So here's how this works. To get into Gather My Crew, like I said, it's not a native app, so you must go through the website. However, the website is it's mobile friendly, so you can use it on any mobile device or a laptop or a computer.
So we go to the website to download it because you can't get it through an app store. Is that right?
It's not, yes, and it's not downloadable. Yes, it's not downloadable. It's a web tool, which means that you need to be connected, and you always need to access it via here.
Okay, so but you can do that on your phone just through the web browser.
Yep, phone, laptop, iPad, tablet, whatever you want to use, you can access it. It works very much like an app, but we don't use the word app because then people get confused that they can't find it on the App Store.
That's my bad. Take that back.
So it's an online tool, is what we call it.
Okay.
So here it is. So this is our website. It's got all the other information here, a little bit about what we are, and how we believe in a world where no one should go through situations on their own. Oh, I hope my internet doesn't drop out. Up here, once you've got to our website, the first thing you need to do is sign up. And what we're going to do is we're going to sign Tara up. And so everyone who uses Gather My Crew needs to create an account. And that's regardless of whether you are, hold on, I can't actually type it at the same time. I'm learning.
So we thought maybe, Tara, you could be signing up because maybe one of your parents is unwell, but you've got kids and you've got a busy life, so you want to try and get some more people to help with kind of navigating your parents and their wellness needs. I think that sounds, legit.
Postcode, Tara.
2784.
2784. What do we do?
The next one.
How would you want to be?
30 to 39.
There we go. And so that is registered. Now, what we need to do, Tara, is verify your email address.
Sure.
So you should receive a link. Now, the reason that's so important for this process is that all of our communications, updates, emails, and updates and reminders are email-based. And that's because we're not an app. So you don't get push notifications. You get emails to say when you've got an upcoming task.
I think that's
have you
good.
seen that, Tara?
Push notification.
Yep, it's there. So I've just done it.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it's already updated on my computer.
Fab.
So it's saying I don't have any crews active, and now I'm going to create a crew. So now I'm Tara, and I'm just going to create a crew. Now she could put a picture of her mum up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are you going to call your crew?
Kathy's help.
Awesome.
Help. Let's call them Kathy's helpers.
Oh yeah, good idea.
And why is it needed? This is just a little bit of detail. The reason we put this in is that as much as you might assume people know the pressures you're under and what's going on and what the impact is, a lot of people don't. People keep this quite private. So this comes up in your account, and it means that the people who are logging in to see to help you can go, oh, I didn't even know that was happening.
Okay, so we could say that she's having an operation. Need a bit of extra help. Yeah.
Mum's having an operation, and that's as simple as it needs to be.
Cool.
This is if you have other admins. So if you were trying to go and do it with your sister or your partner or who else, you'd add them here. But you don't need to do that. You can just set it up yourself if you like, and then you can always upload a photo later. So there we go. That's created the crew. Hey, it's great to see you. We're going to skip the tour. It does show you that there is a tour that you can obviously go through that tells you how to do it, but we're not going to do that because I'm doing it.
Cool.
So we'll skip that.
We get the personalised tour.
I know. The deluxe version. So in details, you can see here, this is the name of the crew. This is why the crew's needed. And the gatherer is the contact person, and that's Tara.
Mm-hmm.
Here is where you add your crew members. Here is where you can chat to each other. Here is the list of tasks. All of these are added by these buttons down here. And then the tasks get put into the calendar. So they're the main tabs. What you can do here through your crew, so you always go down to the plus because you're wanting to add someone. This is a URL link. So you can copy this and you can put it into WhatsApp or text messages or email or Facebook, whatever you want to, and then that link, people can click on that link and ask to join your crew. When they come in, Tara will see who's coming in and she can go, yeah, that person can come and help mum, that person can come and help mum. Who is that random dude? No, they're not coming in. And you can decline people. And in that way, what we do is we open it up by using this link, but we still make sure that the control sits with the person coordinating the account. These people aren't, it's just not random people coming in and seeing your business. So that's that one. That's particularly helpful for places like schools who want to open something up very broadly, or churches, as we spoke about. If it's just a small group and you have people's numbers, contact details, you can actually invite them here. And I'm just going to show you, we can invite me. So you can just put that in and then invite them. And now what I will get is an email invite that I can just click and come through and be approved to join Kathy's helping crew. So that's how you add crew. To add tasks, and this is just, these are the two main kind of things you need to get a handle on. To add tasks, you simply click on the plus button, and these are all of the kind of categories that we've got. I think it's really important to note, and I got an email from someone this morning, which is just gorgeous, saying that the social stuff is the most popular. And that really surprised me, but I guess it shouldn't. So the social stuff, what people like here is that even if you're elderly yourself and not able to provide some of the practical tasks, you can still come and sit with someone. And if you're feeling ill yourself, you can still come and sit with someone. If you're feeling overwhelmed, being able to come and provide social support is still something that most people can do. And so what we've heard is it opens again, it keeps the options of your community open and broad, without feeling like you have to cook a meal or pick up kids or babysit to be a big help. Like, you can help in so many other ways. And so the social stuff is something that's very popular. Another one is always meals. But this is my personal favourite. The changing of the bed sheets. We actually heard from someone who had gone through something awful and had changed the family bed sheets for 8 months. She was a single mum, and for 8 months, because it was just physically too painful, difficult, overwhelming, just hadn't done it. So I think it's really important, this one in here, because I think those kind of things just make you feel like you're not coping. And it's so simple for someone to come and just change some sheets. So let's change Kathy's sheets. So we just add that task. I'm going to say I'm going to add it now, but you can actually set this up and just save everything and not actually create the account, create the tasks. So I'm going to do that now. And please change all sheets. Clean sheets in linen cupboard. And I would like them to come on Thursdays, and they can come, well, anytime, actually really anytime. Does it matter? Anytime. And I want that done every week. So here you can put in weekly, and you can put that in for, let's do it till there. There is a block on how long you can do that for, and the only reason we've done that is because we don't feel, and people have told us, that the helpers can't actually plan 3 months out to provide help with changing the bed linen. So longer than 3 months out, it actually just gets lost in diaries and people get confused as to what's happening. So it kind of just keeps rolling. You can keep using it and updating it and rolling it out. But so now I've done 3 months here. And so what I can say is publish that. And then that now is published on my calendar, and you'll see these red dots. Now this calendar, and you can see it'll go through every month. So the red dots means I need help on those days, or Kathy needs help on those days. And what the crew member will see when they come in, when I come in and accept this invite, is these red dots. And they can then click on those and accept them. Because we've set this up, the question before was, can you set this up on someone else's behalf? Because you can set up on someone else's behalf, the gatherer may actually want to, so Tara may actually want to do this for her mum herself. So she can accept that. Maybe she just wants to do it once, or she wants to do it a few times. And then you can actually identify all the times you will do that. So you might select all of them, but no, you're going on holiday here, so you leave those ones blank. Let's just select some random ones. And then you'll see that blue. So when it comes up to, on Wednesday the 3rd of April, Tara will get a reminder from Gather My Crew saying, don't forget, you're cleaning your mum's sheets tomorrow. Linen is in the cupboard. You can come anytime. And so that way she gets, you know, a little bit of a trigger to make sure that she can do that stuff. So that's how the calendar works. That's how tasks works. That's crew. Here we have chat. And so one of the things people often think, oh, they might use a piece of rostering tool, but then they go onto Facebook or whatever to chat generally, which then disperses the information. So if you can keep it in one place, it's always good. So here you might say, what's a good example where I have to attach something? I can't even think. This is used a lot with families who have kids. So let's just pretend Kathy is now 35-year-olds and has a couple of primary age kids. So here it is, kids permission form. So schools often need this. Please bring this form when collecting kids. And then you can actually attach, this is my computer now, but you can actually attach any documents that you might, and then post it online, and then everyone knows, oh, this is the kids' permission form. All right, that's where I need to go to do that. So you're keeping all the documentation that makes the community work in the one place. Now, I've just got one more thing that I just want to show you before we have any questions. Up here, actually notifications. So when anything happens, notifications come in here, so you get updated. This is your list where you can get help. And a lot of the questions are already in here. And then if you don't get the answers to the questions that you have there, we have a 7-day-a-week support desk that you can email to get the answers to the questions. But over here now, you'll see that we've got the Kathy's Helpers crew. But then if Tara also had a friend that was in need, she can then actually create another account and have another one running. Or if her best friend wanted to invite her to become part of a crew, she can then see that she's got multiple crews there. And so this is where the community groups can actually set up one for Kathy, one for Bob, one for Mary, and you can have all the different crews and all their needs being addressed within the one piece of technology as well. So that's basically how it works. So it's about going to the website. Oops. Oh, now what have I done? It's about going to the website, signing up, and then next time you want to, then you sign out when you've done everything, and then you just log in next time with your, oh, I'm still logged in, so it's come back to that. But then you can just log in next time rather than signing up, and it will take you back to your account. Whoops, that's my family. All right, does that make sense? Have we got any questions?
Yeah, we've got a question that's come through from Jackie. She says, this is brilliant and very valuable, thank you. I'm gathering in so that in the calendar you can have different people coming on the same day, so the calendar might have multiple dots on the same day for different tasks.
Correct. Let me do another one. Let's add grocery shopping, also another really tricky one. I think I did the 21st, didn't I? Yeah. Pick me up and take me shopping. Shopping. Shopping.
Shopping.
Oh my goodness. So this one's a bit more specific because I really don't have a lot of energy until about 2:45 in the afternoon. And I'd probably want that once a month. So we might do it there, but we might kind of do it there, and we might do it there. And I'll publish that as well. So when you look at the calendar, now it's got 2 there that have not been accepted.
Okay.
Grocery shopping and change bed linen. So what that also means is that people can go, oh, I actually hate changing bed sheets. So I don't know if that means I'm more motivated to change them, Kathy, because I feel their pain, or whether I avoid that and think I'd rather do grocery shopping. But what it does make you do is it means you can click and select things that are the most meaningful for you around your own, time. The other thing that I should show you as well is that under tasks, if you're someone like perhaps someone like me who is more inclined to go to help by the type of task rather than the date of the task, you can actually go in here and look at list. So you can actually see the lists here, and you can go in and you can choose them via this process of going, I don't mind going grocery shopping, so I can do that, I'll accept that, rather than looking at the calendar. Whereas some people like the calendar because they know that they're just so busy that actually only on February 24th on Sunday afternoon do they have any time, so they look for the time is what motivates them versus the type of task, which might be, how other people then choose to help. So this was different as well because we did have it all in the calendar, and then the feedback from users was, hold on, I have to click through all of these things in the calendar to find the tasks that I actually want to help with. I want to see the list. But then if you just do the list, the people who sit there going, I can't look through all of these lists to try and find what's available on a Sunday afternoon. So that's why we've got those 2 options, because the users told us that people do this in different ways. So how do we make sure that, it meets the needs of both?
Yeah, that's really great.
Mm.
We've got another question from Jackie again.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when a person no longer needs a crew? Does their details remain stored, or do they get deleted, or is it deleted with no record of previous activity?
So this depends on, there's 2 questions here. I'm not sure if it's a privacy question or a usability question. I'm going to answer the usability one and then I'll answer the privacy one. When people no longer need them, they go and they delete the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the details attached to this and all their crew members, it's gone. A lot of people choose to just leave it running. Even when they're not using it currently, they leave it running so that it can come back and be used at a later date, because they've already set it up and you can just then copy the type of task and you've already got your crew up and ready to go. A lot of people actually set these up and then just wait for something awful to happen. But I think it's more the case where, mum's getting a little bit unwell now. She's not quite needing this yet, but I know it's going to happen and I just want it up and running ready. Or people who've got multiple births coming, set them up knowing that the twins or the triplets are coming and they don't need it yet, but they will. So you can either choose to remove the data altogether, or you can choose to just keep it kind of almost in a holding type of pattern. In terms of our data, we hold de-identified data for research purposes ongoing. We collect that data. Once you've deleted your name from the crew, it's gone. And I think we hold it for a period of months, but then it's, in case you want to bring it back, but then it's gone. But we do hold the de-identified data ongoing, and we do hold on to your email address. So we have had times when people have deleted everything and they've wanted to bring their crew back, and we just can't do that. We don't hold that kind of information for them. And I don't think we should either. I think, I don't think we should.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds like it's been well thought about.
We've also got fabulous lawyers. Our pro bono lawyers are Cause Chambers Westgarth, one of the big law firms in Australia, and they are full on about privacy and privacy legislation and making sure we're complying and all those kind of things. They've been amazing help. I don't know how organisations do it without pro bono legal support, and they've made sure that we are very compliant. We've also got DGR status, which is the top level of kind of charitable registration in Australia, and you have to kind of go through all sorts of processes to make sure that you adhere to those requirements as well. So we're a charity, but we're a very well looked after and supported charity in terms of services and the service providers looking out for our users.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, it's almost 1:30, so I think we should start wrapping up. But if there's any kind of last minute questions, they're more than welcome as well. I just want to say thanks so much, Susan, because I've heard so much about Gather My Crew, and it really is something that people are looking for, I think, particularly through my work when we're gathering communities together to talk about how we can better support each other. It does often come up around how do we kind of harness people that want to, you know, that exact thing that you were talking about, where they know someone's in crisis and we want to do something. So how do we kind of harness that, but also, yeah, just being able to help facilitate that support for someone in the community is so valuable.
Yeah.
And it's great to see you talk through that, because it is a bit, you know, it can be kind of a bit daunting to try and get your head around.
Yeah. And I think the first time it may still be, but it is actually so simple once you get the hang of it, and it turns something very complicated into something that is easy and achievable. I will just say one more thing. We are, you know, we're still young. We're still learning and improving, and we love feedback. You know, it's always nice to get the positive stuff, but the constructive stuff, the things people would like to see, the ways we can improve, we really, really value that stuff. So if anyone's out there and they give it a try and they just have a little bit of, you know, feedback to us, or they have some suggestions, we'd really love to hear them. So we encourage people to message us and just keep us in the loop of what your experiences have been like.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, there's a couple of people in the chat now that are saying, thank you, it's been very useful, and this will be brilliant online support, which I'll be using and sharing with my community to raise awareness. Well done. Great. Thanks so much. And we hope, you know, we'll be sharing this through ComCom Hub, so hopefully lots of people can watch this and feel more equipped to get it happening. But it's certainly, I hear Gather My Crew talked about heaps, so it's really great.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, and thanks for everyone for watching, and I'll be in touch in the next couple of days with a link to this so you can share it and watch it again, and we'll share a link to Gather My Crew website as well, so it's all easy to find. Thanks for being here, and thanks again so much, Susan, for sharing.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.